There is a $4 box in the laundry aisle of your grocery store that stabilizes pool pH better than most of what the pool store sells. It is called borax, sodium tetraborate, the same product that brightens laundry. And when you dissolve it in pool water at the right concentration, it creates a chemical buffer that holds pH steady through swimmer load, summer heat, and hours of aeration, the exact forces that knock residential pool chemistry off balance every single day. That is the trick, borax, right up front. 1. But before you drive to the grocery store, there is one condition you need to understand first. Borax raises pH when you add it. Add it without a plan, and you will push pH above 8.0, your chlorine will stop working, and the water will go cloudy before the buffer even has a chance to help. Getting it right takes one extra step. That step is what this video is about. Here is what you are going to learn in the next few minutes. What borax actually does in pool water, what it cannot do, the correct dose for your pool size, the exact sequence to add it without crashing your chemistry. 1. The 3 mistakes that waste money or make things worse, and what to realistically expect in the first 2 weeks. When borax dissolves in pool water, it creates a borate buffer system. A buffer resists pH change in both directions. When aeration from jets and splashing pushes pH up, the buffer absorbs it. When rain or chemical additions push pH down, the buffer absorbs that too. The result is pH that holds steadier between your weekly corrections instead of drifting up and down every few days. 1 at 30 to 50 parts per million of borates in the water. Many pool owners notice they are correcting pH less often. The chemistry stays in the range where chlorine works effectively for longer stretches. Some research and real-world use in commercial pools suggest borates may also interfere with algae's ability to photosynthesize, making it harder for algae to establish. That is a supporting benefit, not a guarantee. Here is what borax cannot do. It does not sanitize, it does not replace chlorine, it does not fix a pool that is already green or cloudy, it does not correct high cyanuric acid. It does not substitute for filtration or circulation. Think of it as a stabilizer for your chemistry, not a replacement for any part of the core maintenance system. A quick safety note before anything else. Borax is mild compared to pool acids and shock, but you are still adjusting pool chemistry. Know your pool volume before dosing. Test your current pH and alkalinity first. Wear eye protection when handling any pool chemical. Keep borax away from your Cal Hyposhock. Store all pool chemicals separately. And retest your water 24 hours after any major addition. 3 situations where you need to pause before adding borax. First, if your pH is already above 7.6. Borax raises pH, and adding it to a pool already running high will push you past 8.0. Bring pH into the 7.4 to 7.6 range with muriatic acid first, then add the borax. Second, if your total alkalinity is below 80 parts per million. Low alkalinity means pH will be unstable regardless of borates. Fix alkalinity with baking soda first. Get it to 80 to 120 parts per million, then add borax on top of a stable foundation. Third, if you do not know your pool volume. Every dose in this video depends on gallons. If you have never calculated your pool volume, do that before you open the box. Rectangle pools. Length times width times average depth times 7.5. Round pools. Diameter times average depth times 5.9. Write the number down. You will use it for every chemical decision you make this season. Step 1. Test your water. You need 4 numbers before you start. Free chlorine, pH, total alkalinity, and current borate level if you have borate test strips. 1 strips are inexpensive and worth having for this specific test because your standard drop kit does not measure borates. If you have never added borax before, your borate level is effectively 0 and you can proceed without the strip. Step 2. Correct alkalinity and pH first if either is out of range. Alkalinity target is 80 to 120 parts per million. pH target is 7.4 to 7.6. Do not add borax until both are in range. This is the step most people skip and the one that causes the most problems. Step 3. Calculate your borax dose. 1. To establish 50 parts per million of borates from 0, use these starting points. For a 10,000-gallon pool, add approximately 20 pounds of borax. For a 15,000-gallon pool, 30 pounds. For a 20,000-gallon pool, 40 pounds. These amounts will raise pH by roughly 0.5 units. That pH rise is expected, and you will correct it in Step 5. Step 4. Add the borax with the pump running. Broadcast it evenly across the surface as you walk the perimeter. Do not dump it all in one spot. For doses above 15 pounds, split the addition across 2 consecutive days. 1. It fully dissolves within a few hours of pump operation. Step 5. 2 hours after adding, test pH. It will have risen. Add muriatic acid, diluted in a bucket of pool water first, poured slowly at the deep end with the pump running, to bring pH back to 7.4 to 7.6. Add in stages, test between additions, do not overshoot below 7.0. Step 6. Retest everything the following morning. pH, alkalinity, and borates if you have strips. The system takes 12 to 24 hours to fully stabilize. Your morning reading is your true baseline. If pH has drifted slightly, make a small correction. 1. Most setups are stable within 36 hours. 3 mistakes that either waste your money or create a bigger problem. Mistake 1. Adding borax to fix a green or cloudy pool. Borax is a prevention and stability tool. It does not clear a bloom that has already started. If your pool is green right now, slam it first. Sustained elevated chlorine until the water clears and holds chlorine overnight. Once it is clear, establish the borate system so the conditions that cause the bloom are less likely to reform. Mistake 2. Skipping the muriatic acid step. This is the most common error on first setup. 1. The owner adds 20 pounds of borax. The water looks fine. They walk away. By morning, pH is at 8.2, and the chlorine they added the night before is barely working. The acid correction after the borax is not optional. Budget for it when you buy the borax. A gallon of muriatic acid from the hardware store costs $10 and handles most of a season's pH corrections. Mistake 3. Adding too much borax. Above 50 parts per million borates can cause foaming, especially in pools with water features or active jets. The buffer effect does not improve significantly above 50 ppm, and the foam is hard to explain to guests. Stay in the 30 to 50 ppm range. Use the borate strip to confirm before adding more mid-season. In the first week, most owners notice pH holding more steadily between tests. If you were correcting pH twice a week before, you may find it only needs attention once a week or less. That is the buffer working. In the first 2 to 3 weeks, water clarity often improves noticeably. Not because borax is a clarifier, but because chlorine is working at effective pH for longer stretches throughout the day. Less chloramine formation means less haze and better color. What you should not expect: an overnight transformation, green pools clearing, or chlorine requirements disappearing. If your pool looks the same after 2 weeks, check your free chlorine and cyanuric acid first. A CYA level above 70 parts per million can mask every other chemistry improvement you make. Borates stay in the water. They do not evaporate or break down under UV. 1. They only leave when water leaves. Backwashing, splash out, evaporation replacement. For most pools, one mid-season top-up of 5 to 8 pounds of borax maintains the level above 30 ppm through summer. Test borates in late July with a borate strip. If the reading is below 30 ppm, add 5 pounds per 10,000 gallons, broadcast with the pump running, and correct pH afterward if needed. If the reading is still between 30 and 50, leave it alone. Your daily and weekly routine does not change. 2-minute morning test of free chlorine and pH every day in July. 1 weekly full panel covering alkalinity, CYA, and calcium hardness. Bleach additions at dusk when UV is off the water. Weekly brush of corners, steps, and wall niches. The borate system supports that routine. It does not replace any part of it. One-time borax setup for a 15,000-gallon pool. Approximately 30 pounds of borax at $6 to $8 per 76 spent-ounce box, roughly $15 to $18 total, plus $10 for muriatic acid if you do not have it, under $30 to set up. Mid-season top-up, 5 to 8 pounds of borax, $3 to $5. What it can reduce: pH up and pH down purchase frequency. 1. Many owners report cutting pH product purchases by half or more after the first season with borates. At $12 to $18 per pH product purchase, even a 50% reduction saves $60 to $120 per season. What it does not reduce: your chlorine, CYA, shock, or test kit costs. Those stay the same because borax does not affect any of those functions. If you want every dose, every substitution, and a printable weekly routine all in one place, I put it together in the Pool Carder Playbook. From green to crystal clear. 139 pages covering the complete grocery store method, this SLAM process for green pools, seasonal guides, and the 5 numbers that run your entire pool all summer. This is everything I wish someone had handed me on day one. Normally $67, right now just $29.99 7-day money back guarantee, instant PDF download, link is below this video. One question comes up constantly from pool owners who discover borax mid-season. Do I need to change anything about how I add chlorine once borates are established? The short answer is no. 1. The longer answer is worth understanding because it explains why the system works better than most owners expect. Chlorine effectiveness is directly tied to pH. At pH 7.5, roughly 50% of your free chlorine exists as hypochlorous acid, the active killing form. At pH 7.8, that drops to around 33% at pH 8, which falls to roughly 25%. Those numbers mean the same chlorine reading on your test strip represents very different levels of actual sanitizing power depending on where your pH is sitting at that moment. The borate buffer holds pH closer to 7.5 for longer stretches throughout the day. 1. That means the chlorine you added at dusk last night is still working at closer to full effectiveness at 2 in the afternoon today, rather than sitting in water that has drifted to 7.9 from morning aeration and swimmer activity. You are not adding more chlorine. The chlorine you already have is just doing more work per part per million because the pH condition it is working in is more consistently correct. This is the efficiency gain most owners notice first. Not that they need less chlorine exactly, though some do find their consumption drop slightly, but that the chlorine they add seems to last longer and hold the pool more consistently clear between additions. That is the buffer working. Not magic, just pH staying in the range where chlorine is actually effective. Add bleach at dusk as always. Test free chlorine every morning. If chlorine is holding steadier than it did before the borax setup, that is confirmation the system is working. If chlorine is still dropping fast, check CYA before assuming anything else. 1A cyanuric acid level above 70 parts per million creates chlorine lock that the borate system cannot overcome. Fix CYA first through partial dilution, then reassess. Here is something worth understanding, because it affects how often you need to buy alkalinity products going forward. The borate buffer system and the alkalinity buffer system work together in a way that makes alkalinity more stable across the season. In a pool without borates, one of the main forces depleting alkalinity is the repeated correction cycle. Once pH rises, you add muriatic acid. The acid consumes some alkalinity in the process. Alkalinity drops. You add baking soda to bring it back up. That cycle repeats weekly in many residential pools through summer and slowly grinds through your alkalinity buffer. With borates established, pH rises less dramatically between corrections. You add less acid, less frequently. Less acid means less alkalinity depletion per week. The baking soda you added at the start of the season lasts longer because the cycle burning through it has slowed down. Many owners find alkalinity holds in range for 3 to 4 weeks instead of drifting low every 2 weeks. That translates into fewer baking soda purchases and fewer acid purchases across the season. Not zero, alkalinity still needs monitoring and occasional correction, but the frequency drops and the amounts needed are smaller combined with reduced pH product frequency. This is where a significant portion of the long-term savings comes from. Test alkalinity weekly regardless. Backwashing removes water and with it some alkalinity. Heavy rain dilutes it. Large chemical additions shift it. 1 weekly testing takes 5 minutes and catches drift before it becomes large enough to require a major correction before you conclude borax is not working for your pool. Check this number first. Cyanuric acid. If your CYA is above 70 parts per million, the borate buffer can be perfectly established and you will still fight water quality problems, not because borax failed, because chlorine lock from excessive stabilizer is overriding every chemistry improvement you make. Here is the relationship. CYA protects chlorine from UV destruction, which is useful at 30 to 50 ppm. Above that range, CYA starts binding chlorine into a less active form. At 80 ppm, your effective chlorine is significantly reduced. At 100 ppm, you need roughly 7 to 10 ppm of free chlorine to do the job that 2 ppm did at 30 ppm CYA. No buffer system fixes that. The only fix is dilution. If you have been running trichlor tablets as your primary chlorine source all season, test CYA with a drop kit before adding borax. Every trichlor tablet adds stabilizer. By August, many tablet-fed pools are sitting at 90 to 120 ppm CYA without the owner knowing. Rain, Nurix. Not what, no. What? One borates still stabilize pH the same way. Salt pool owners actually get more benefit from the borate system in one specific area. Salt chlorine generators raise pH as a byproduct of the electrolysis process. A salt pool tends to push pH upward more persistently than a traditional chlorine pool, which means the borate buffer that resists upward pH drift is working harder and delivering more value in that environment. Same $4 box. More consistent benefit for a pool fighting upward pH drift from two directions simultaneously, aeration and the generator. One setup, dose, and maintenance are identical regardless of sanitizer system. The one thing salt pool owners must not assume is that the generator handles everything on heavy use days. Output is fixed, demand spikes. On hot, high-use afternoons, the generator can fall behind. The borate buffer helps maintain stability during those periods, but does not replace checking free chlorine daily and adding supplemental bleach when the generator cannot keep up. Situation 1. CYA above 80 ppm, covered above. Dilute first, establish borates after. Situation 2. Dirty or undersized filtration. One borax stabilizes pH. It does not filter particles from the water. Cloudy water with correct chemistry is almost always a filtration problem. Check filter pressure. Clean the cartridge. Backwash the sand filter. Increase pump runtime to 8 to 12 hours daily in summer. A borate buffer cannot compensate for a filter that is not turning the water over completely each day. Situation 3. Active algae bloom. The borate system may support prevention. It cannot clear an established bloom. Slam the pool first. Sustained elevated chlorine until completion criteria are met. 1 water clear. Combined chlorine below 0.5 ppm. Chlorine holding overnight near slam target. Once the pool is clear, establish borates to reduce the conditions that allowed the bloom. Situation 4. A pool leak. Losing more than 2 inches per week beyond what evaporation explains means water is leaving faster than any chemistry program can compensate. The bucket test confirms it. Fix the leak before worrying about chemical stability. A leaking pool dilutes borates, CYA, alkalinity, and chlorine continuously regardless of what you add. Borax works best as one layer in a complete approach. One here is how the full system fits together for under $200 per season. Foundation layer, borates at 30 to 50 ppm, established once at the start of the season with a mid-season top-up of 5 to 8 pounds per 10,000 gallons. This is the pH stability layer that makes every other correction more durable chemistry layer. Alkalinity at 80 to 120 ppm with grocery store baking soda, pH at 7.4 to 7.6 with muriatic acid from the hardware store. Free chlorine at 2 to 4 ppm with plain unscented bleach at dusk, CYA at 30 to 50 ppm tested monthly with a drop kit. 1 calcium hardness between 200 and 400 ppm checked monthly. Testing layer, 2-minute morning test of free chlorine and pH every single day in July. This one habit is what separates owners who never fight their pool from owners who fight it constantly. Small problems caught Tuesday morning are 30-second corrections. The same problems caught Saturday are 3-hour recovery sessions. Mechanical layer, pump running 8 to 12 hours daily. Filter cleaned when pressure rises 8 to 10 psi above normal. Water level at midpoint of the skimmer opening checked twice a week. 3-minute weekly brush of corners, steps, and wall niches. Total seasonal chemistry cost running this system correctly, $150 to $200 for a typical residential pool. The pool store does not profit when this system runs correctly, which is why no counter person walking you along the wall has ever laid it out this way. pH product purchases. Many owners cut correction frequency by half or more after establishing borates. 6 to 8 pool store pH product purchases at $12 to $18 each, reduced by 50%, saves $36 to $72 per season on pH products alone. 1 alkalinity product. Baking soda at $1 per pound versus pool store alkalinity increaser at $4 to $5 per pound. 4 to 6 pounds used per season saves $12 to $24 per season on 1 compound. Liquid chlorine, switching to plain unscented bleach at $4 per jug versus pool store liquid chlorine at $8 per gallon across approximately 40 equivalent gallons per season, saves $80 to $120. Weekly algaecide eliminated entirely when chlorine and pH are managed correctly, $180 to $300 per season off the shopping list. 1 total realistic seasonal saving across all substitutions combined with the borate system, $300 to $500 per season for the average residential pool owner. Your actual number depends on pool size, local pricing, and how consistently the system runs. The direction is always the same, significantly less than the reactive pool store approach for the same or better water quality. Every product the borate system reduces or eliminates is a product the pool store profits from selling repeatedly. Weekly algaecide at $20 a bottle. pH up and pH down purchased 6 to 8 times per season. 1 alkalinity increaser. That is literally baking soda at 4 times the grocery store price. Clarifier purchased when the water goes cloudy from pH-driven chlorine inefficiency that the buffer system prevents. None of these recommendations are given in bad faith necessarily. The counterperson knows the products, they know what the water test printout recommends. What they do not do is walk you backward from the symptom to the cause and then point you to the laundry aisle of the grocery store next door. The business model does not support that conversation. This channel does. 1. Because the only product being sold here is the information. And the information says borax, baking soda, muriatic acid, and plain unscented bleach cover the majority of what a residential pool needs to stay clear all summer. 1 pool store trip at the start of the season for CYA, Cal Hypo Shock in bulk, and a good drop test kit. Everything else comes from aisles you walk through every week already. Everything in this video depends on 1 habit that costs nothing and takes 2 minutes. The morning test, free chlorine and pH with a test strip before anything else in the day, not once a week. 1 every morning in July without exception. Here is why this single habit determines whether the borax system delivers results or sits in the water doing half a job. The borate buffer holds pH steady between corrections. It does not hold it perfectly still forever. On a day with 8 people in the pool, a running waterfall, and 95-degree heat, pH can still drift above 7.6 by evening. The buffer slows that drift significantly. It does not eliminate it entirely. The morning test is what catches that drift the next day, when it is still a small correction rather than a large problem. 1A pool owner running the borate system with a daily morning test is catching pH at 7.7 on Wednesday and adding a small muriatic acid dose Wednesday evening. The water holds. Thursday looks fine. The buffer absorbed most of Tuesday's party load and the morning test caught the remainder before it compounded. A pool owner running the borate system without the daily morning test discovers on Saturday that pH has been sitting at 7.9 since Wednesday. 3 days of chlorine working at reduced effectiveness. 3 days of organic load not being fully oxidized. 1. The water looks dull, maybe slightly hazy. The correction now requires more acid, more time, and more chlorine to recover than the Wednesday 2-minute catch would have needed. The borax system makes the morning test easier because there is less to find and less to correct. That is not a reason to skip the test. It is a reason to trust it more when it shows everything is fine. A clean result on a well-buffered pool means the system is working. Keep the habit running and the system keeps delivering 2 minutes every morning in July. Free chlorine and pH. 1. If chlorine is below 2 ppm, note it and add bleach at dusk. If pH is above 7.6, note it and add a small muriatic acid correction at dusk. If both are in range, you are done. Walk back inside. That is the entire daily requirement for a pool running the complete system correctly. The pool owners who never fight their water in summer are not doing more work. They are doing the right 2 minutes at the right time every day. The borax system is what makes those 2 minutes sufficient. The morning test is what makes the borax system work. Neither one functions as well without the other. Start both this week. The box costs $4. The test strips cost $15 for a season's supply. The time investment is 2 minutes a day. The alternative, reactive pool ownership, pool store visits, emergency treatments, cloudy weekends, costs hundreds of dollars and hours of Saturday time every single summer. The system is simple. The habit is small. The results are consistent. Borax from the laundry aisle. $4 to $7 a box test alkalinity and pH first. Get both in range. Calculate your dose based on pool volume. 1. Add borax with the pump running broadcast evenly. Correct pH with muriatic acid 2 hours later. Retest the following morning. Do not use it on an already green pool. Do not skip the acid correction. Do not exceed 50 ppm. Do not expect it to replace chlorine filtration or daily testing. Realistic outcome after 2 weeks, pH holding steadier, less frequent correction needed, water that maintains its clarity better through heavy use days. One safety reminder that matters every time. Muriatic acid goes into water. Never pour water into acid. Dilute in a bucket first. Always. 1. Next video. Why the $40 pool store alkalinity tub is the same compound as the $2 supermarket box and the exact method to use it to stop chasing pH permanently. This channel reads the water, not the marketing.